Welcome to the first episode of Around Town, a show that provides information on North Andover and surrounding towns in the Merrimack Valley. Today's guest is Jeff Coco, the Director of North Andover Emergency Management Agency. Jeff, what do your duties do as Director of Emergency Management?
Well, first, Jim, thank you for having me as your first guest. That's an honor.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Over and above that, let me give you a little overview of emergency management and how our agency came about and the beginnings of it. We started as civil defense in 1950 through the Civil Defense Act of 1950, which was a presidential decision. And that was enacted and has been in place since. Over time, our agency has evolved into emergency management, which is more encompassing, because we basically started as an offshoot from the Cold War. And we were more concerned with fallout shelters at that time due to the nuclear threat that was present. But we have since evolved into natural disasters, chemical incidents, more encompassing for all disasters, natural and man-made, that can affect our community. And basically my duties entail several different fronts. My primary duty is I am liaison between the three entities that I have to answer to, which is our municipal government, the state of Massachusetts, and the federal government through FEMA. And our agency coordinates these three entities for any given incident, also for training purposes, for funding purposes, and for bringing resources in that are over and above the level of our incidents that we have in our community.
Okay, now say in a case of, I know it'll never happen here, but in case of a terrorist attack, what would you do in that case? What would you...
That's an interesting question. That varies because that's a dynamic situation. We have what's known as the Comprehensive Emergency Management Plan, and that's basically our disaster Bible. And we have to periodically update that, and we have sections in there that actually deal with terrorism, deal with flooding, deal with different incidents. So depending on whatever the scenario happens to be, how we respond to it is dictated by the events.
I see, I see. Let's see, how did you get this position that you're in today?
I started as an operations officer in the organization. My father was the previous director before me, and I worked my way up through the ranks to become senior operations officer, then deputy director, and then finally director upon my father's retirement.
How long did your father do this job
My
for?
father did this job for 36 years,
Wow.
and I've currently been at this position since the blizzard of '78. So February '78 is when I started. There was a need at the time. We were short-handed, and he said, "Come on, you want to get on board?" I said, "Yeah, let's do it," and been with it since.
And you people took care of the flood that was in North Andover, both floods, in fact.
We take care of all kinds of natural disaster incidents, floods, blizzards, major blizzards. We try and coordinate all of that. Our duties go beyond just what we specifically do. We will assist the police and fire department in such incidents. Under certain circumstances, and it depends on what the incident is, we are an ancillary resource that's available to the other public safety agencies, where we are the third branch of public safety. We will not just go in and take over. We assist them at their request, unless you hear a state of emergency has been declared. In that case, then, emergency management becomes the lead agency, and now the police and fire department fall under us. Now, does that mean we go in and tell them what to do?
Right.
Absolutely not. They're very professional at what they do. They know what they do very well, but we are there for a number of reasons. We, number one, can provide resources over and above the capability of our local community, whether it's material resources or manpower, to supplement an incident. Over and above that, we also provide the funding for reimbursement for the resources when it financially stresses our community. We are the agency that applies to the federal government to get relief if a presidential decree has been made and declares it a disaster. Then FEMA steps in, comes in and assesses the situation, and now provides the funding. Now, the funding is a two-pronged approach that they do. There's the public assistance, which goes to help the municipality, for example, to pay for man-hours for manning snow plows during a major blizzard, or response that we have to do for a flooding situation. And the secondary thing that we do as well is known as the IA, or individual assistance. That goes to help homeowners who have been either displaced or financially burdened by an incident. And it's up to the declaration that is made by our governor that's proposed to the President of the United States which form that will take and what we apply for.
I see. Now, your funding, where do you get your funding to run your department? Not department, it's not a department, right?
No, well, yeah, it is a department by the town's perspective, but we are actually an agency. As I said,
right.
The reason why we're called an agency is because we answer to the federal, state, and local level.
So you get your funding from the federal?
No. What we do is our department is supported through a line item through the town. The town actually has a line item on their budget that supports North Andover Emergency Management. I personally receive basically a stipend or a part-time fee to do my position, but everybody who falls underneath me are strictly volunteer.
Exactly, right. So how many people do work
well,
for you?
the way our department is structured from a federal standpoint, we have the operations division. We also have an auxiliary police area, which is no longer functioning, and that's due to the fact that for police accreditation, our auxiliary officers couldn't hold the position of a special officer and an auxiliary officer simultaneously. Mm-hmm. So they all became just special officers, so that's no longer functioning. And the third area that we have is our communications division. They are all ham radio operators who have the ability to communicate when all communications go down and be able to get the word out, and they're part of the RACES emergency group, and they're all well trained, and they have special radios that they use and man, and as I said, they're all licensed ham operators, and they can communicate with the state and federal entities that are involved. The fourth area that we've never had in our community is also an auxiliary fire department. Some communities do have that. We've never had that in place.
Auxiliary, yes, no, we haven't, right. Let's see, give me some examples and incidences where you responded to besides floods, fires. Do you respond to fires at all?
We will respond to a fire at the request of the fire department. We are there as an ancillary support mechanism to them. We're a resource. If we can be of assistance in any way, shape, or form, we do. We're very fortunate in North Andover to have an emergency response vehicle. And many times the fire chief will call us into the scene with our vehicle to supply support to the firefighters who are there, the investigational staff, and the victims who have been displaced. Many times we'll take the victims and put them in our vehicle. Mm-hmm. It gives one cohesive spot for everybody to know this is where you're going to find the people you need to talk to. Gets them out of the elements, whether it's cold, snowing, raining, or excessively hot. And it gives a place where the fire department can talk to them, find out if they need medications,
right.
If they want resources. Red Cross can then go in and talk to them, trauma intervention program, fire investigations that can all meet in this one area, so that's an asset. The only time that we are mandated under emergency management to respond is if we have a mass casualty incident, such as Merrimack College with an outbreak there, or a fire in a building like that, or something similar at one of our apartment complexes in town, where we have everybody who's evacuated from the structure due to a fire or something along those lines, or if it's a chemical incident, we are mandated to be there.
For instance, like we just had not too long ago in the town, right?
Right, we've had a couple of incidents like that.
And you respond to that?
Absolutely.
Okay, now as far as getting a hold of the state police and FEMA, I guess I just heard that you people have a new type of radio you people are getting?
Yeah, well, that's a little misnomer there. Let me explain to you what we're doing. We're getting a new type of a radio that's a portable radio, which makes it a little unique. They have similar ones in consoles or consolettes that you could have in the police station or fire station. But this is a portable radio that has all of public safety band on it, resident.
Right.
So we have the ability then to talk to the DPW, the fire department, police department, state police, MEMA, my parent agency with the state.
Right.
All these different entities now can be coordinated through one communication source, the portable radio.
What was it like before this radio?
Prior to that, what had to be done, for example, if the fire department required DPW to come out and do something to assist, they would have to call dispatch. Dispatch then in turn now would contact DPW, relay the message, or we'd have to do it with a cell phone or a landline. But now on scene, this will give the incident commander a little more capability. And I just said a term that many people will not be familiar with, incident commander. All of public safety falls under NIMS, the National Incident Management System. And what NIMS involved in and is capable of, it actually grew out of the fire services for forestry fire, the big wildfires they have out west. And that started with Incident Command System, and now it went to the NIMS, which is more encompassing to bring in other entities versus just public safety. And there's training courses everybody goes through, which means that it goes on a hierarchy or a pyramid type of, you have an incident commander at the top, and from there it branches down. And it's ideal to have no more than 3 to 5 entities below you, so it's manageable.
Oh, wow.
And below that, it branches out again with 3 to 5, 3 to 5, and continues on down that way to be able to cover all the resources that are necessary to function efficiently during an emergency.
Wow. How many hours a week would you say you put into this job?
I put in a lot. Between my federal duties that I have to take care of, my state duties, because there are state meetings and state courses that are mandated, federal meetings and federal courses that are mandated, and our local level. It's not uncommon, really. It's really a full-time job, to be honest with you. So I'm burning the candle at both ends and have for quite some time.
Really?
But it's a labor of love. It's giving back to our community, something where I feel the community's been very good to me, and it's the least I can do to give back to the community in that regard.
Speaking about the community, besides this job that you have, you also do something with the festival committee in town.
Yes, as you well know, since you are a member as well, I am the co-chairman of the North Andover Festival Committee, and we handle most of our celebratory events in town, so to speak.
Yes.
We start our year off with sheep shearing, which always falls on the Sunday before Memorial Day weekend. Good way to remember it. I usually say the Sunday between Mother's Day and Memorial Day, but there are sometimes 2 Sundays. If that's the case, it's always the latter. It's the Sunday before Memorial Day weekend. It happens to be May 22nd this year. And the second event that we do is the 4th of July.
Okay, before you go on to the second event, I think we have a clip of the sheep shearing that you can explain to our listeners and our watchers here, our TV audience, of what it entails.
Hey, samples of the sheep, and there's our sheep in the pens, yes. Yeah, it's a nice event. It's a family-oriented event. It is free of charge to the public, which is nice. There's absolutely no cost to attend the event. Obviously, if you want to purchase food or items from the crafters, you know, you have to pay there. But to come to the event, there's no charge, no admission. We do have a free shuttle bus that runs between the Franklin School, the middle school, and the Common to bring people back and forth, shuttle them. All the parking is free, the shuttle bus is free, and the event is free. And it typically runs 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Sunday.
How many years have we been doing this now in the town?
This will be, I believe, our 44th year or 45th year.
And people look forward to this every year.
Yes, oh, they do.
The crowds, we have a lot of people that go to this.
It's actually started in conjunction with the Textile Museum. That's opposite the Common.
Right.
And initially they started it with a sheep-to-shawl contest on the lawn of the Textile Museum.
I never knew that.
And they brought in some sheep, and they would shear them, card it, spin it, and knit it. And it was a sheep-to-shawl contest. And from there, they grew in popularity and eventually moved across the street to the Common. And from there, it grew. And then the AFS Student Services came in to sponsor and took over to create funding for that, grew the event, and then we got involved eventually, and we're still growing the event.
Tell our audience what else takes place there. Like, what else do we have on that day?
Well, we have sheep shearing, we have sheep herding, We have demonstrations going on. We have a blacksmith who comes in, basket weavers who come in. There's all different types of demos going on all around. We have a musical event as well. We have country music there and folk music being played. So it's a nice family-oriented event, and it's very relaxing. And if you want, you can pack a picnic basket and bring a blanket and stay the day, and it doesn't cost you a cent. Or if you want, you can take advantage of the nice food court we have there, and you know that well because you coordinate our food court for us and do an excellent job with that.
Thank you.
We have a nice variety of food for people. So it's a nice full day.
And it's a rain or shine event.
It's a rain or shine event. We've been very fortunate for the majority of the years we've held it. We've occasionally had rain in the morning. One year we had a very small microburst come through that knocked a lot of tents over. It's okay, we had emergency management there, so it was covered.
That's right.
And all in all, though, we've been very fortunate. One year when we were displaced from the Common, when there was construction going on, we moved to the Hay Stadium behind the middle school, and that was a washout. It was a horror show.
But people still showed up.
People still showed up. People know it, love it. It's a rite of spring.
Really?
A lot of people say, oh, you know, this is like the official kickoff of the season. So it's a great event.
Excellent.
Great event.
That's this year on the 22nd of May.
22nd of May.
Starts at what time?
Starts at 10 a.m.
10, that's what it is.
People tend to get there a little early, and some of our vendors, as soon as they set up, will vend. And the reason why we say 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. is because we prohibit all vehicular traffic on the Common for public safety. That doesn't mean that, for example, if it's a beautiful sunny day and it's 80 out, and we don't kick everybody off and say it's 4 o'clock, go home. They're allowed to stay. People are allowed to vend. People are allowed to enjoy the remainder of the day. We try and have everybody off by 6 p.m. if we can, but we don't force anybody off.
Excellent, excellent. We also have a fundraiser going on at that time, don't we?
Yes, we do. We have what's called Cow Pie Bingo.
And what does that entail?
And it's where a grid is set up on the Common, and it's run by Lieutenant Folds, E.J. Folds, from the police department. He's one of the coordinators because he handles the Santa Parade, a topic we'll be getting to later. And the funding that is generated from that supports bands that he has to pay for the Santa Parade. And what it is a grid of squares in a fenced-in area set up on the Common. And cow is usually brought in, and the cow will eventually grace one of these squares, which are numbered, with a cow pie. And depending on where and how it lands, if it lands solely on one square, you win a cash prize. If it lands between two squares, the cash prize is divided. It's set up differently, and I don't want to address it too much because I'll leave that to EJ, how he decides to do it and what the cash prize is. But it's a fun event as well, and goes to a worthy cause. And he also typically has drawings every hour for a $100 cash prize as well, randomly. So theoretically, you could win the cow pie and a cash prize as well.
And you can also buy your square before the event and the day of the event.
Absolutely. What he does is the month of May, he usually has a board with a facsimile of the grids with the numbers and letters. So for example, you'd be A1 would be the upper corner, and you buy your square, or you can buy as many squares as you want. And they'll give you a ticket that corresponds to it. And hopefully you're lucky.
That's excellent. Now, the North Andover Merchants also does something for the to raise money for the parade, don't they?
Yes, they do. Yeah.
They sell calendars?
They sell calendars. They have a calendar sale. They set up a booth at sheep shearing and have a calendar sale, and the calendar has all coupons every month in there that give you discounts at different merchants in our town. And once again, I hope I'm not on line by saying this, but I think the calendar price was $10.
Yes, it is.
And hopefully that will remain the same.
Right.
Once again, I'm speaking out of turn because that's something they handle. But it's another successful event, and that goes to support the Santa Parade as well.
That's excellent. That's excellent. Next thing that you do, or we do, I should say, is the 4th of July celebration on the Common.
Absolutely.
And I think we have a clip on that. So
awesome.
Let's show the clip to our audience about the 4th of July on the Common.
Oh, this looks like our road race that's handled by the Borderline Running Club. Chris and Carol Marshall have been instrumental in supporting this and putting this together, have done a fantastic job, and it's a great event. And some of the funding they generate goes to help support our fireworks as well, which is a great thing. And it's a very, very fun event. They have a children's fun run initially that goes around the perimeter of the common, and they have a 5K and a 10K race as well. And it's gaining in popularity every year.
It's getting bigger and bigger.
Getting bigger and bigger.
And they also give their proceeds, I guess, to the senior center?
They help out the senior center through the Friends of the Senior Center as well. They have a lot of worthy projects that they're working on. So it's a great event.
Yes, it really is.
They're now showing the bike and doll carriage parade.
Yeah.
And you know this as well because you do a lot of the announcing at this event. This has always been a town favorite and a great tradition in our community.
And the kids love it.
Where the children all decorate their bicycles and doll carriages, and they go up and down the section of Massachusetts Avenue that's closed for the length of the common. And then they come back, and every child who participates gets a ribbon, a participation ribbon.
Now, this celebration that we have for the 4th of July is how many days?
Usually 2. We've tried it 3 days, but it's been a little daunting for us. But a 2-day event, and what we usually do is we have a soft opening on the 3rd of July, which means we usually start our event around 5 p.m. And you're now seeing our pie eating contest. This is a new thing that we brought on, and worked out very well. A lot of fun. It was a great day. You are doing the emceeing.
I thought we were going to have a hard time with this because we didn't get a lot of people till the last minute.
Oh, I know.
We had sign-ups early on this, and
everybody
then people
came
the last
on.
minute came on.
Look at their faces.
It's incredible. They had a great time.
They weren't allowed to use their hands, and all the pies were graciously donated by Tripoli Bakery. And it was a great event, a lot of fun, a lot of fun.
Well, this is what we're going to try doing every year is add something to the 4th of July
Absolutely,
celebration.
absolutely.
What we used to have on the common, Jeff, tell us about the
chicken barbecue. That's something we're trying to bring back.
Many years ago we had that.
Yeah, on the 4th of July, traditionally another thing that we've always had in the past was a chicken barbecue on the common. It was the Nason Stone House in Boxford. Jim Nason was the one who handled that, and it was a great event, and due to circumstances beyond my knowledge, it kind of petered out, or I'm not sure actually what happened, but we're trying to bring that back. I've talked to the Nasons a couple of times.
I think it might have petered out after they had stopped it on the common because you couldn't bring alcohol on the common anymore.
That's right too. That's right too. Yes, you're right. There was an issue.
That's when I think there was the issue with the
and now that has since been restored, and we haven't had any issues with that.
Right.
The beer tent is run by the beer and wine tent that's being run by the VFW.
Yep.
Well handled. Everything works out well there, and so we're trying to bring back all the traditions now.
Now, we do it on the 3rd and the 4th, right?
Right, and we should probably touch on that a little, that we usually open at 5 p.m. on the 3rd of July, and we'll have musical entertainment, something that you help coordinate as well there, and we'll have different events going on, music, and it culminates that night with the firework display that's held at the middle school.
And what time is that?
And that's usually at dusk. It's around 9:15.
Right.
And then the second day, we start at 10 a.m. and go to about 4 or 5 p.m.
Right.
And that's our 4th of July, where we have the pie eating contest, etc.
Right.
And we'll also have musical entertainment there as well, demonstrations going on, crafters, all the good things that make it a nice hometown event.
That's an excellent hometown event. In fact, even one year, I think we made Yankee Magazine, didn't we?
We did indeed.
I mean, that was when we used to have the chicken barbecue.
Right.
Now, hopefully, we're going to bring the chicken barbecue back again.
We are trying to.
Hopefully, that's one thing we were trying to do now for a few years, but hopefully we'll do it this year. I mean, it's a task because you have to sell tickets in advance, and it's a hard thing to do doing it in advance because we have to know how many chickens to buy, how many corn on the cobs to buy, all kinds of stuff like that, and then we need to get picnic benches and places where the people can eat in there.
Right. Or a lot of people will bring blankets and sit on the blankets. That's a tradition. People who have done this in the past have a family tradition of staking out their spot, so to speak.
Right.
Got family favorites of meeting under a tree, or in this particular
They
area.
still do that
The
now.
family
It's unbelievable.
gathers. They do. They still do. We know every year we'll find the same people in the same locations
And even
enjoying the events.
during the fireworks now, people are staying on the common. You can actually
They
see
are.
the high fireworks aerials from the common,
You can. A lot of people do leave the common, go up to the middle school.
which is packed.
But a little tip on that, a couple of great locations. Number one is the high school. From the bleachers and the athletic field give you a very good view of the fireworks.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't realize
Yeah.
that. And if you choose to stay on the common, there are two good locations. One happens to be just about 3/4 of the way from the Osgood Street side of the common, heading towards Mass Ave. You're about a quarter of the way from Mass Ave, and you would have faced down towards the middle school. You have a pretty much unobstructed view there with a couple of trees in your way, but not really bad. Or over by the Phillips Brooks statue, you have a great view of the fireworks.
Excellent, excellent.
You don't even have to leave.
They even have you seen the common this year? How they cleaned out that area?
Yes.
Those bushes are all cleaned out.
Everything's been
I mean,
trimmed
everything's
back. Our
trimmed.
DPW has been doing a
It's
fantastic
incredible.
job.
They've done a great job on that common.
They really
Now
have.
this year, our 4th of July celebration, as normal, is the 3rd and the 4th, but the 4th falls on a Monday. So do you think on the Sunday we might open up earlier than 5 o'clock?
That's something we'll have to discuss as a committee. I always
Yes.
say I'm not a committee of
Right,
one.
right. But I think
As
we
you
should
know,
bring that up at the committee.
That's something that we should
I
check
mean,
into.
seeing it's on a Sunday, I think we should give more
Absolutely.
time for the people to have a good time there.
We'll see how
And I
that
can
works
get
out.
more entertainment. How's that, huh?
Absolutely.
Okay, the next thing that you're involved with is our Santa Claus parade.
We are, yes, indeed. That's where we are. This festival committee is really ancillary to that.
Right.
We support the police departments, the Police Relief Association, who really puts on the Santa Parade.
Right.
And we try and support them in any way that we can.
Right.
We will sponsor a couple of bands. We help coordinate the event. We'll also provide manpower for the staging area because
Right.
it's quite a task to put that together.
It sure is.
And the police department has been growing that exponentially every year. Last year we
Bigger
had a
and
little
bigger.
rain on that date,
Yep.
unfortunately, but many times, as you can see right now, there's a little
Yeah, we have a clip.
ground is wet there.
But
But
people still showed up.
people showed up.
They showed up.
The lines were out there. It was fantastic.
This was my first year
Yes.
of doing the commentary on the parade. And I
Right.
had a really good time. But people were still lining up all up and down Main Street. It was
They-
incredible.
I know. I'm marching the parade through emergency management and the festival committee, so I get the perspective of seeing the crowds. I never really get to witness the parade, but I'll tell you, it really gives me a great boost to see the turnout and how many people actually come out for this.
Really, I thought it was amazing. Normally, I don't see the parade either,
Right.
because I'm involved with the parade. But
Right.
this year, I did see it because I was there telling people about it on TV, on cable, on this channel here.
And we're also always looking for people to participate in the parade.
Yes,
we're
we
trying
are.
to get that word out to our
Yeah.
community and surrounding communities.
Yep.
We welcome them to come in. We do not charge a fee to enter our parade. Some communities do, it's my understanding, but we do not.
Right.
So if anybody, any group, any organization, even a family, anybody wants to put a float in, come in with a special idea, they're more than welcome to. We welcome them to come in. It's a great thing.
Right.
And it's a fun thing as
EJ
well.
does a fantastic job.
He
on this
really
parade.
does.
In fact, he took it over from a person that
Sergeant Fred
is
Soucy.
deceased now.
Fred Soucy was impassioned about this, did a great job with it, and when poor Fred got sick, EJ stepped up to the plate
time.
and did a fantastic job.
Every year, bigger and bigger. It's nicer.
Give him a
and
lot of
nicer.
credit. A lot of credit.
You do. You have to give him a lot of
Yes.
credit. And last but not least, we just started this again a couple of years ago. Is our
Yes, we
tree
did.
lighting ceremony on the common?
Right, and that's been growing as well. We've done this for a couple of years now, and the Sunday after, well, we should tell them when the parade is actually.
Oh, that's right. I forgot.
It's the Saturday after Thanksgiving. We hold our Santa parade. And now the new thing that we're doing, we have added the tree lighting, which is a tradition we're bringing back, the Sunday after Thanksgiving. So you have Thanksgiving on Thursday, the parade on Saturday, and the tree lighting on Sunday.
Yep.
And Sunday at dusk, we gather on the common, and we've had the couple of choral groups out there singing carols. We print up carol books for people to participate with.
Santa's there.
Santa's there, and you can come sit in Santa's lap. And we have a nice little tent set up with Santa. We usually have sugar cookies and hot chocolate free to the public. Although we ran out rapidly.
Last year it
we
was
had
jammed.
such a turnout.
Jammed.
We were just we ran out rapidly, and I apologize for that.
I was amazed at that last year.
Year before,
Our first year, it was new.
Yeah, we had a lot left over, and last year we ran out of stuff in 20
Look at
minutes.
that beautiful tree.
Speaking of that beautiful tree, we had a fundraiser last year as well, and we sold ornaments to hang on the tree, and that went to purchase a set of lights. We now have LED lights on the tree. Originally, the tree and common was decorated by the Women's Club in North Andover. They did a fantastic job. They approached us on the festival committee, and they said, we'd like to do this. They donated the money. They actually had professional tree lighters come in to string the lights on the trees and get everything squared away, and they maintained it for a few years. And then slowly, after a while, the lights became old. They were very faded, difficult to see. There were a lot of issues with the lights as well. Some strings were only half working, some weren't working at all, taking a lot of maintenance. So we thought it was time to spruce up the tree. And we went out, we purchased several strings of lights, had the DPW go out there, remove all the old lights on our quote-unquote Christmas tree, the spruce that's in the middle, and they restrung lights on that. We're going to add some more, try and add some more for this year as well. Yep. We already have them, we don't have to purchase them.
Right.
And we're going to add a few additional lights on there and really make it spectacular. It really looks nice now compared to how it had in the past.
And how did we raise money for these lights?
What we did is we actually had forms on the website, and we had them in town hall and different locations, where for a $40 donation, they got a string of lights. They were purchasing a string of lights and an ornament. We had these ornaments printed up with the family's name on it, or whatever message they wanted on there.
That must have been nice.
Somewhere in memoriam, somewhere Merry Christmas from so-and-so family. Businesses supported them as well. The Women's Club were very generous. Yep. They gave us a generous donation as well towards that. And that went towards all those lights. So.
Right. It was a big, big success last year.
It was.
And I think it'll be even bigger this year. Well, Jeff, I think we've touched all bases here. I want to thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you for having me as your guest.
On my first show, especially, too. You
Appreciate
did a great
that.
job.
Thank you
for tuning in, and hopefully we'll see you next time here on Around Town.